So we continue with the respiratory system, and we are now on the breathing cycle. So that is breathing, the respiratory cycle. So respiration versus breathing. The respiration is a broader term which includes intake of air, oxygen, and its utilization in the body cells to produce energy. But breathing is a simple mechanical process of inhaling and exhaling the air. In other words, it is a muscular process. So respiration includes breathing, but breathing does not include respiration. The respiratory cycle consists of inspiration, that is taking the breathing in. Breathing in is inspiration, and expiration, that is breathing out. And a very short respiratory pause. Okay, so that is breathing in, pause, breathing in, breathing out, pause, breathing in, breathing out, pause. So that is what is called as a respiratory pause. In normal adults, the breathing rate is 12 to 18 breaths per minute. A newborn breathes 60 times per minute. Slight increase in the CO2 content in the blood increases the breathing rate. So the moment the CO2 content in the blood increases, the body automatically starts breathing heavily. So you start panting or you start breathing more heavily when you find that the slight increase in the carbon dioxide level in the blood is indicated. Inspiration or inhalation is the result of increase in the size of the thoracic cavity, and this increase is due to the combined action of the ribs and the diaphragm. So the ribs and the diaphragm are going to expand, and that's why there is going to be a combined effect के कारण there will be enlargement of the lung size, by which the air is going to go in. So the thoracic cavity का volume is going to increase during inspiration. The ribs move upwards and outwards due to the contraction of the intercostal muscles stretched between them. So the ribs के बीच में there are intercostal muscles, and due to the stretching of the intercostal muscles there is the stretching, or we can say expansion, of the ribs. So extra intercostal muscles stretch them between them, thus enlarging the chest cavity all around. The internal costal muscles are relaxed. The diaphragm, a sheet of muscular tissue situated towards the base of the lungs, which normally remains arched upwards like a dome, stretched and flattened. So at that time when you're breathing in, at that time it flattens. So it is normally curved like this. It is going to flatten like this when you are breathing in. Okay, when you are breathing in, at that time it flattens, and expansion of the chest cavity is going to take place. Yeah, which normally remains arched upwards like a dome, contracts and flattens from the dome shape outline to an almost horizontal plane, and thus contribute to the enlargement of the chest cavity lengthwise. As the diaphragm flattens, it presses the organs inside the abdomen, and with the abdominal muscles relaxed, the abdominal wall moves outwards, leading to the increase in the volume of the chest cavity and the decrease of pressure. So as the diaphragm goes down, it presses down on the abdomen, and that's why there is an increase in the chest cavity, and due to the increase in the chest cavity, there is a low pressure created inside this chest cavity, and because there is a low pressure created, the air is automatically going inside. Decrease in pressure inside the lungs draws the air inwards. The outside air, being at a greater pressure, rushes it in to equalize the pressure. When the thoracic or chest cavity increases in size, its internal pressure is decreased. The lungs expand, and as a result, the pressure inside the lungs is lowered below the atmospheric pressure. So that's the reason why the air enters inside the lungs when there is an increase in the chest cavity size volume. Next is expiration or exhalation, is the result of reverse movement of the ribs and the diaphragm. So the reverse movement will be the muscles are going to relax, the chest cavity and all is going to contract, the diaphragm is going to go upwards again, so that is going to reduce the chest cavity, accordingly increase the pressure in the lungs, hence the air will be expelled outside. So expiration or exhalation is the result of reverse movement of the ribs and the diaphragm. The external costal muscles relax and the ribs move in automatically. The diaphragm is relaxed and move outwards to its dome-like outline. As a consequence of the above-mentioned movements of the ribs and the diaphragm, the volume of the thoracic cavity is decreased and the lungs are compressed, forcing air out into the atmosphere. When we breathe out forcibly or naturally, as it happens during intense physical exercise, the inner intercostal muscles also contract, causing further contraction of the rib cage to expel out more air from larger intake of oxygen. Next is tissue internal respiration, the process by which the cells of the body use oxygen to oxidize the food and release energy. The carbon dioxide formed as a waste product of the breakdown of glucose molecules is sent out as expiration. So that is the tissue respiration. Internally, the tissues are going to do the same process, but they are just going to take in the oxygen and do the process of respiration and give out the carbon dioxide. Have you ever observed the outward rise and inward fall of the people's belly alternately with inspiration and expiration? Now you know the reason. So why does it happen? Because you know that the diaphragm is going to push downwards. When it pushes downwards, the abdomen is going to push the organs of the abdomen further outwards, and then when it is going to be exhaling out, at that time it goes back to normal, so the stomach also goes back to, so belly is going to go up and down, out and outside, inside, outside, inside when a person is breathing. The control of breathing movements. The breathing movements are largely controlled by the respiratory center located in medulla oblongata of the brain. So major thing the thing done by the medulla oblongata, we know that medulla oblongata is going to take care of all the involuntary activities what we are doing in our body. So that's why the main center of respiration is the medulla oblongata, which is present over here. The center is situated by the stimulated by the carbon dioxide content of the blood. So depending upon what is the carbon dioxide content in the blood, the center, that is medulla oblongata, is going to trigger the mechanism of increasing or decreasing the rate of respiration. More the carbon dioxide content in the blood, faster is the breathing. The breathing movement are normally not under the control of the will. That is, they are involuntary. But to some extent, one can consciously increase or decrease the rate and extent of breathing. If you forcibly hold your breath, a stage would come when you cannot hold it any longer. So we say that okay, we can hold our breath, but it is controlled. So we can say it is voluntary, but no, it is not voluntary, because you cannot hold it for a very long time. The moment you hold it for a long time, then suddenly you will become you will require to breathe again. So that's why it is compulsory that you will it is an involuntary activity. The table over here in 14.2, that is on page number 143, also is very important, which helps to understand these things and remember things much easily. So you see that what is happening to the diaphragm is that during inspiration it contracts and flattens downwards, when during expiration it relaxes and moves upwards to a dome shape. External intercostal muscles are going to contract during inspiration and relax during expiration, and internal intercostal muscles are going to relax or stretch during inspiration and contract for forced expiration. Ribcage and sternum move upwards and outwards, whereas in case of expiration they move downwards and inwards. Volume of the thoracic cavity increases during inspiration and decreases during expiration. Air pressure decreases inside the thorax and the lungs during inspiration and increases inside the thorax and the lungs during expiration. Air movement, external air pressure drives air into the lungs at low pressure during inspiration, and the pressure inside, the air forced out of the lungs by thoracic compressions and elastic recoil of the lungs. So that's about what happens to the different organs of the respiratory system during inspiration and expiration. So this was about the different parts of the respiratory system, the ways in which we are respiring, inhalation, exhalation, etc. Now what you are going to see is what exactly is the capacity of the lungs. Okay, we are going to learn now the capacity, the overall capacity of the lungs is what we are going to see now. So we are going to see it as the capacities of the lungs. Okay. First is a tidal volume. Air breathed in and out in a normal, quite unforced breathing is called as tidal volume. Okay. So when I am speaking at the same time also respiring. So at that time when I am respiring, the amount of air which is going in and the amount of air which is going out, that particular in and out of the air is called as the tidal volume, which is equals to 500 ml. So tidal volume is equals to 500 ml. And out of this 500 ml, there are two parts. So the two parts of tidal volume are dead air space. Some tidal air is left in respiratory passage such as trachea and bronchi where no diffusion gas can occur. So when you are breathing, यहाँ से लेकर यहाँ तक जहाँ तक वो lungs का alveoli है तब तक वहाँ तक तो air जो है that is a dead air space. We cannot do any, there is no kind of gaseous exchange going to take place over there. So that is called as the dead air space. So dead air space, which is equals to 150 ml. So balance is 350 ml. That is the alveolar air. So alveolar air is the one in which is going to be there in the alveoli will be 350 ml. So out of the 500 ml tidal volume, 350 ml will be the one which is going to take care of the inhaling, it will be taking care of the gaseous exchange. Second is inspiratory reserve volume. It is inspiratory reserve volume. This is equal to 3000 ml. So you can see that apart from normal breathing, we can definitely draw in more amount of air. I can take a deep breath. So the deep breath which I can take, okay, that volume which I can take is 3000 ml. So that's it. Air that can be drawn in forcibly over and above the tidal air is called as the complemental air or inspiratory reserve volume, that is 3000 ml. The inspiratory capacity, hence, so the sum of this two is called as, which is equal to 3500. So sum of this two is 3500, which is called as the inspiratory capacity. Why is it called this way? Because it is the capacity, the total capacity of us to inhale tidal volume 500 ml or 3000 ml of deep breathing. So that is why we call it as the inspiratory capacity as this plus this as 3500. Similarly, expiratory reserve volume, air that can be forcibly expelled out after normal exhaust. So normally I'm breathing out, I'm breathing normally right now. But if I'm told to breathe out more, I can easily breathe out more, means I can easily do like this. I'm not taking a deep breath, but I can expel out that much. So that is called as expiratory reserve volume. So that is expiratory reserve volume. So that is 1000 ml. So even if I have not taken a deep breath, but I can still give out air from my, I can expel out air, and that air can be up to 1000 ml, which is the expiratory reserve volume. Okay, so you can see the addition of this two, that will give us as the vital capacity. So the vital capacity of this thing will be equal to 3500 plus 1000 is equals to 4500 ml. So the vital capacity, the volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out by maximum inspiration expiration is 4500 ml. Now it is seen that even though I exhaled out forcefully, I did, but has it happened that my lungs have become completely empty? No. They are not going to become completely flat. They are not going to become like a deflated balloon. Okay. They are still going to remain distended. That means even after expiring out the maximum amount of air which was possible for me to do, I will still have a certain amount of reserve volume of air inside the lungs. That is called as residual volume. So the residual volume, even after having all the air which was best possible to be given out, even after that I will be having certain amount of air in it, which is 1500 ml. So some air is always left in the lungs even after forcible breathing out. This is the leftover residual air, and hence you see the total capacity. So the total capacity of the lungs is nothing but the addition of this two, that is 4500 plus 1500 is equals to 6000 ml. So the total amount of air which can be there in our body is 6 liters or 6000 ml. All the above respiratory volumes in milliliters in a normal human being are shown in the figure 14.8 and has been summarized in the box next. So tidal volume is alveolar air plus dead air, that is 350 plus 150, the 500. Inspiratory reserve 3000, so 3000 plus 500 will be 3500, which will be inspiratory capacity. Expiratory reserve volume is 1000, so vital capacity is 3500 plus 1000, so it is 4500. And then the residual volume 1500, so 4500 plus 1500 is equals to total capacity, lung capacity 6000 ml. So that was the capacity of the lungs. The next is inspired air versus expired air. So now we have to understand that what is the difference between the air what we take in and the air what we are giving out. The air inside the lungs is never replaced completely. It is always a mixture of the air left inside and the air inspired. In other words, the air in the lungs is only becoming better and worse with each inspiration and expiration. So the air inside is not good. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला कि जब मैं breathing चालू करूँगा तो okay, I removed all the air and a fresh air is taken in. Then I breathe out again, means I remove all the air and I take fresh air again. No, it is not going to happen this way. When you are breathing in, breathing out, at that time, partly some air is remaining, partly it is given out. Some new air is coming in and then partly it is given out. So there is always going to be like a condition of just changeover in the air or mixing up of the air. The quality wise, the expired air differs from inspired air in the following aspects. So what is the difference between the inspired and the expired air? The expired air contains less oxygen. First of all, the expired air contains less oxygen. It contains more carbon dioxide, very obvious, because oxygen is going to be utilized by the lungs by the alveolus for the gaseous exchange, and carbon dioxide milne wala hai. So automatically the air which will be expired by the person will be rich in carbon dioxide and will have less amount of oxygen. It contains more water vapor. We know that C6H12O6 plus O2 gives you CO2 plus H2O. So this H2O kahan jayega? It will be expelled out. So that's why it will be more water vapor inside. It is warmer because our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So when we are breathing out, what is the air given to what is the temperature of the air given out? Of course, the same as the body temperature. So that's why it will be warmer or at the same temperature as that of the body. It may contain some bacteria. Yes, it may contain some bacteria which would have been entrapped in the cilia of the trachea. So yes, there could be some bacteria which can be given out during the expiry of the air. Figure 14.3 gives the average composition of the expired and the inspired air of a person at rest and the basis of differences. So that's what they've given the table at the bottom. So oxygen in the inspired air is 21% or 20.96%, whereas the expired has got 16.4%. So in fact, we can see that we have utilized only 5% of the oxygen, less than 5% of the oxygen which was present in the air. So O2 absorbed at the alveolar surface. Carbon dioxide was 0.04%, but it is 4%. You can see it has got drastically increased because the carbon dioxide produced by the body is going to be given out. So that is CO2 released by the alveolar surface. Nitrogen will always be remain the same, that is 79% was the initial thing, it is now 17.6% because of the certain amount of excretion given out by the body as nitrogenous phase. So that is unused nitrogen. Water vapor was low initially, but is high now because evaporation of the water from respiratory passages. Dust particles variable but usually present in the when it is inhaled, whereas it is little or if any because it is going to be trapped, so caught in the mucus. Temperature wise, inspired air will be variable, but the expired will be at the body temperature, that is 37 degrees Celsius, warmed by the respiratory passages. The next is about the effect of the altitude on breathing. As we go higher, the air we breathe in decreases in pressure, accompanied by the gradual decrease in oxygen content. See, we very well know that when you go higher and higher, you can see the mountain climbers and all, they will always need some oxygen and all for when they climb up, like Himalayas and all, because they will be the air as we go up and up, it becomes thinner and thinner, and the oxygen content goes on decreasing. So at about 4,500 meters above sea level, one may suffer from air sickness, in which lack of oxygen leads to dizziness, unsteady vision, loss of hearing, lack of muscular coordination, and even complete blackouts. See, if you're going to a height above 4,500 meters, the oxygen content in the air becomes very less. If the oxygen content is low, then the body will be having a lack of oxygen, and with the lack of oxygen there will be of course no aerobic respiration. So due to this, the brain, which takes about 80% of the oxygen what we breathe in, they will not be getting the required amount of oxygen, and hence it will start behaving abnormally, which causes dizziness, nausea, loss of hearing, lack of vision, okay, muscular coordination. So ये सब problems चालू हो जाएंगे. And these problems what are there are called as two conditions. One is hypoxia and other is expiration. Hypoxia is a deficiency of oxygen reaching the tissues. Okay, so hypoxia is the deficiency of oxygen reaching the tissues. If the tissues are not getting oxygen, then the body suffers from hypoxia. It may result due to sitting for a long hours in a crowded room with poor ventilation. It may also be experienced in high altitudes where the oxygen content of the air is low. So hypoxia normally will occur in two conditions. One is when you are in a crowded room, suffocation जब ये होने लगता है, क्योंकि इतना सारा crowd है और oxygen content will automatically be used up by everybody. So that's why you will find breathlessness and you will be having this particular condition of hypoxia. Also, the condition will be available when you are in higher altitudes where the oxygen content is less. Expiration is the condition in which the blood becomes more venous by accumulation of more carbon dioxide and the oxygen supply is diminished. This may result due to several causes such as strangulation, drowning, or any obstruction in the respiratory tract. Death follows if the cause is not taken care of quickly. Artificial respiration is helpful in certain cases. So this is a condition in which the body is not able to give out its carbon dioxide outside. If it is not able to give out the carbon dioxide, and then there is an accumulation of the carbon dioxide in the body. So if the body के अंदर carbon dioxide का accumulation अगर होने का चालू हो जाएगा, and if the oxygen supply is not properly available, then this condition can be seen. And this can mainly occur when they are गला दबा दिया, okay, तो you are not able to take in air and not able to give out air, so give out carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide content in the body keeps on increasing. Another is drowning. Yes, the same condition happens in the drowning also. You are not able to respire. Or is there is any respiratory tract के अंदर obstruction? If there is an obstruction in the respiratory tract, then also the same thing can happen. And if this particular kind of a condition is not removed quickly, तो आदमी गया. Okay, he will die because he will not be able to the amount of carbon dioxide will keep on increasing, and ultimately he will die. And in such a condition, if the person is supposed strangulation में कुछ हुआ है उसको बचाना है, तो then artificial breathing will be helpful in that particular conditions. So that was about the hypoxia and all. Now there are certain experiments regarding this thing. I think I'll take it in the next video and complete the chapter in the next video with the experiments. Okay, thank you.